On the intricate global geopolitical chessboard, one of the darkest threats looms silently: nuclear war. This video delves into the apocalyptic scenario of a nuclear conflict and its overwhelming consequences for humanity. Let's explore how a nuclear confrontation could unfold, illustrating the political tensions and miscalculations that could lead to the unimaginable. On this journey, we will examine the immediate horrors of a nuclear attack and the lasting changes it would inflict on our world. Not only will we discuss the mechanics and strategy behind these weaponry, but we will also delve into human stories, imagining post-war life. This report is a warning about the fragility of peace and the urgent need for prevention. Follow us to better understand one of the most serious dangers facing our civilization. The journey toward potential nuclear conflict often begins with heightened global tensions. But what would be the trigger for a nuclear conflict? Let's explore the geopolitical scenarios and decisions that could lead to the triggering of a nuclear war. From territorial disputes to ideological rivalries, the reasons for escalation can be complex and multifaceted. History shows us that it is often misunderstandings, miscalculations, and miscommunication that precipitate such crises. The digital age and cyber warfare introduce a new element of risk, where cyber attacks and disinformation can quickly escalate hostilities. In this volatile scenario, a single event, a terrorist attack, a military coup, or an international incident, can light the fuse of nuclear war. The start of a nuclear war would be marked by a terribly iconic event, the first impact. This critical moment sets the tone for what was to follow, a series of devastating events on an unprecedented scale. At the exact moment of impact, an incandescent fireball would expand, instantly vaporizing everything in its radius of action. The force of the explosion would create a massive shock wave, demolishing buildings and devastating infrastructure. The effects of the impact would be felt immediately over a wide area. Extreme temperatures and radiation would result in uncontrollable fires and serious damage to human health and the environment. This first strike would likely trigger a chain response, with other nations launching their own nuclear arsenals, leading to a rapid and dangerous escalation of the conflict. The first hours of a nuclear conflict would shape the future of the planet and humanity. One of the most frightening and long-lasting effects of nuclear war is the phenomenon known as nuclear winter. After the initial explosions, immense amounts of smoke and soot would be released into the atmosphere, forming a thick layer that would block sunlight. This dark veil around the planet would cause a drastic reduction in global temperatures. With less sunlight, temperatures would drop, triggering a severe and prolonged winter, affecting entire ecosystems. The agricultural consequences would be devastating. With falling temperatures and a lack of sunlight, food production would collapse, leading to hunger crises on a global scale. The impact on fauna and flora would be equally catastrophic. Many species would not be able to adapt to these rapid environmental changes, resulting in mass extinctions. After the initial impact of a nuclear war, the immediate fight for survival begins. With critical infrastructure destroyed and essential services disrupted, survivors would face unprecedented challenges. The search for basic resources, such as water, food, and shelter, would become an urgent priority. In a world where distribution systems have collapsed, self-sufficiency would be essential. Exposure to radiation would be a constant threat, requiring knowledge and protective measures to avoid contamination and radiation-related illnesses. In addition to the physical challenges, the psychological aspects of survival in a post-nuclear world would be equally challenging. Dealing with trauma, grief, and the uncertainty of the future would require extraordinary mental strength. In a nuclear war scenario, the fabric of societies as we know them would begin to unravel. Governmental and social structures, fundamental to order and normality, would face almost immediate collapse under the weight of devastation and chaos. Communication would be one of the first systems to fail, cutting off vital information and leaving people isolated and disoriented. Without access to reliable news, rumors and fear would spread quickly. Commerce and the economy would suffer a fatal blow. With supply chains disrupted and transportation infrastructure destroyed, shortages of basic goods would become a widespread reality. Social relations would also change. The need for survival could force people to form new communities or, conversely, lead to conflict and rivalry as resources become increasingly scarce. There would be a dramatic disintegration of the social order and the emergence of a new reality, where old systems and norms no longer apply, and survival becomes the maximum law. A nuclear war would not only disfigure human civilization, but also drastically transform the planet itself. Earth, as we know it, would undergo catastrophic environmental changes. Ecosystems would be drastically affected. Once lush forests could become barren lands, and rivers and oceans could become contaminated by radiation, affecting aquatic and terrestrial biodiversity. Residual radiation from nuclear weaponry would have a lasting impact, seeping into soil and water, leading to genetic mutations in plants and animals, and potentially altering entire ecosystems. Climate change induced by nuclear war would also affect global weather patterns. We could witness extreme weather phenomena, with severe impacts on agriculture and the ability to sustain human and animal life. A post-nuclear war Earth would be an unrecognizable world, a grim reminder of the consequences of nuclear conflict. After the devastation of nuclear war, reconstruction and adaptation become the keys to human survival. In a drastically changed world, survivors would have to find new ways to rebuild their lives and communities. The reinvention of agriculture would be crucial. With altered ecosystems and adverse climate conditions, new farming techniques and food sources would have to be developed to sustain the remaining populations. Adapting would also mean learning to live with the persistent risks of radiation. Decontamination, protection, and medical care strategies would have to be improvised and improved over time. With the fall of old governmental structures, new forms of leadership and social organization would emerge. Collaboration and community resilience would be essential to overcome the challenges of a post-nuclear world. The memory of a nuclear war and its legacy for future generations. How such an event would redefine our understanding of humanity and war. Nuclear war is not just a remote possibility. It is a grim warning of humanity's destructive power. This video serves as a reflection on the importance of diplomacy and peace. For more educational content and deep reflections, subscribe to our channel and share this video.